This is an Anton of 225 and it carries the incredible number of 32 wheels. The number of tires a plane carries depends on the weight, purpose, and the design of it. The tires of airplanes often go quite unnoticed, but they are a very important part that must be maintained in optimal conditions because they are subjected to great strains and stresses during landing. Did you know that they are inflated with nitrogen and not with air? Or that a new state-of-the-art tire can cost up to 4,000 euros? And that on some planes they are changed every 15 or 20 days? Or did you also know that upon landing they can go from 0 to 280 km per hour in a fraction of a second? Or that at this moment they can reach more than 200 degrees Celsius in temperature? So why don't they explode under such extreme conditions? Today we are going to see how these interesting components of the plane work in a new video from the World of Aviation. Commercial airplanes not only fly, they also travel on land. Throughout its useful life, a tire can travel an average of 700 kilometers. Aircraft tires are subject to enormous stresses and strains during their use. For example, during a landing, a tire can go from 50 degrees below zero to nearly 300 degrees Celsius when braking. That's why they are much more complicated than they might seem at first glance. They are usually composed of about 200 different materials, including fabrics, meshes, threads, natural or synthetic rubber, and various chemical components. To give us an idea of what an airplane tire can withstand, the maximum takeoff weight of a Boeing 747-400 is about 395,000 kilograms. This equals nearly 400 compact cars. To give you a practical comparison, a normal car tire can support a weight ranging from 500 to 700 kilograms each. An airplane tire has to withstand a pressure equivalent to 10 tons, yes, 10,000 kilograms, which is when it touches the runway. When you consider the general conditions under which they are used, it's no wonder that wheels, tires, and rims require quite a high level of maintenance, even though their design may seem very simple at first. Tires are changed by takeoff and landing cycles, although it is during landing where they suffer the most, and in practice, these are the ones that count. On average, a tire can make about 350 landings. A plane could make those 350 landings between 1 and 3 weeks. That's the average lifespan of a civil aviation tire. But the lifespan of a military aircraft tire can be about 50 landings or less. A new tire for a Boeing 777 can cost up to 4,000 euros. For that reason, retreading is usually done, which can cost half of that money. Thanks to this process, the life of the tires can be extended and they are recycled. Retreading is the removal of the worn or remaining thread or bearing and the application of a new one, which is usually done by the same tire manufacturers. If the airline were to give one of the manufacturers a tire where the casing is already damaged, it can no longer be retreaded and they would have to buy a new one. That's why they change them very frequently and don't let them wear out excessively. If it bursts during a landing, which is the most likely time for a tire to burst, the technicians, when replacing it, will also replace the other tire that is on the same axle, even if it is new and in perfect condition. It's because that overload could have caused stress on its structure, and for safety reasons they have to be replaced no matter what. There is a study from a university that claims that 99% of the wear on the wheels could be eliminated if they were made to spin before touching the ground. It is precisely that smoke on contact the signal of an abrasion on the tire. When an airplane touches the ground, its tires do not roll at first, they only skid, or they are dragged until they match the speed of the aircraft. This wear is what can be seen as smoke upon contact with the runway. At that moment, they are accelerating to reach landing speed. The wheels of the planes spin freely. There were studies to put a motor or some mechanism that would make them spin before contact with the ground. This would be interesting from the point of view of wear and tear, but it was concluded that the device would greatly increase the complexity of the landing gear in addition to increasing the weight of the plane. The airplane's tires are inflated at high pressures, usually exceeding 200 pounds per square inch, even higher pressures in the wheels of business aircraft. Durability tests of these tires have shown that they are capable of withstanding pressures of up to 800 pounds per square inch before bursting. During these tests, the tires must be filled with water to prevent the test room from being damaged by the energy that would be released if it had a gas inside. Aircraft tires must be inflated with nitrogen instead of air. Nitrogen is an inert gas, so high temperatures and pressure changes have less effect. Regular air contains elements that react with heat, pressure changes, and oxygen and can expand explosively. Additionally, nitrogen is more compatible with rubber compounds, and nitrogen atoms are larger, so the deflation rate is slower. Also, nitrogen, being an inert gas, does not corrode the wheel. The tread patterns of airplane tires are designed to facilitate stability in extreme crosswind conditions, channel water to prevent aquaplaning, which would be slipping on water, and the braking effect. Tires also have to withstand stress caused by external factors, such as contaminated runways, the quality, roughness, and surface of the runway, and temperature variations. Consider that an airplane comes from flying at a cruising altitude with temperatures well below 0 degrees Celsius, and upon contact with the runway, the temperature rises rapidly. Airplane tires are equipped with fusible plugs, which are assembled inside the wheels. These devices are designed to melt or literally fuse at a certain temperature. Tires often overheat if maximum braking is applied during an aborted takeoff or in an emergency landing. Fuses provide a safe deflation mode that comes from tire explosions. Deflation through fuses is done in a controlled manner, and thus minimizes damage to the aircraft and objects in the nearby environment. There are 4 main manufacturers of aviation tires: Goodyear, Michelin, Bridgestone, and Dunlop. These are the ones that produce 85% of the total, over 1 million annually, of aviation tires. It may seem like a lot of tires, but it actually only represents 1% of those manufactured for automotive use. And what happens when a plane's tire bursts on takeoff? In this emergency case, the plane usually returns to the airport immediately, and one might think that it could fly to the destination and change the wheel there instead of returning, but this would compromise safety. The crew cannot know if the wheel explosion has caused any additional damage to the plane. In some cases, the landing gear is even left extended to prevent the tire casing, if it is still attached to the rim, from lodging in the wheel well and causing further damage. The most conservative action is always to return to the departure airport for a landing. I hope you liked this video, and to delve deeper into the topic, I recommend Manuel Represa's blog, The Flight of the Great Bastard, from which this video will appear to me. I'm grateful to him for providing me with this topic, and I also wanted to tell you that Manuel Represa has released his first aviation-related novel called Chords for a Lament. I'll leave the link below in the description so you can see where you can get it. Until a new installment of Aviation World.